Okay, hey guys, it's Blaize, and I'm using my webcam from my laptop for this video. This is the first time I'm making a video with this webcam, so I'm sorry if it comes out kind of crappy. But I wanted to make this video because I don't want to make this video, but there's been a lot of people since there's been videos and photos posted a lot more lately. I wanted to talk about something without giving too much detail, because there is some things that need to stay private about this story, not just for me but for others. But people have been asking me a lot of who's Cory? Who was he? I'm going to, since I am kind of sick of answering that, and sick of answering and explaining about what happened, and having to tell like multiple people. I'm sorry, I just got out of a bath, so I'm a little messy. But yeah, so I'm going to make this as detailed as possible, but I am not going to go into every detail. So yeah, it's probably gonna not make a couple people happy, but I don't care. This is my YouTube channel and I'm gonna say what I want. This was me and Cory. I keep this picture next to me all the time. When I had just turned 18 years old, I met a guy named Cory, and it was literally love at first sight, and I never really believed in that kind of crap until it happened to me. My mother even kept the text message in her old cell phone that I had sent her when I was hanging out with him for the first time. And I said, I really don't know who he is, I don't know his full name or anything like that, but I looked into his eyes and I was instantly in love. And I said, Ma, I love this guy, and I don't even really know him. So we started dating like a week and a half after that. About a week and a half or 2 weeks into our relationship, he started having, he didn't start because he was sick. He had epilepsy. He didn't have it as a child. He wasn't born with it. He used to be a karate teacher and used to do karate when he was younger. He was like a triple black belt or something like that, and he was an instructor and a student. So he took a blow to the head once, and he started having seizures when he was 18. So like a week and a half, 2 weeks into our relationship, I witnessed his first seizure, his first grand mal seizure. Pretty much all of his seizures were grand mal. And if anybody out there has witnessed a seizure firsthand, and I know a couple of you have, it is extremely terrifying. I mean, it was the scariest, up to that point, it was just the scariest thing I had ever seen in my life. And seizures are really only supposed to, they last, I didn't know this back then. I had done research. I just started doing research, like 7 years ago. But they're only supposed to last up to like 30 seconds. If they last more than that, you're supposed to call the police or an ambulance. His seizures lasted about 10 minutes. So he lived with his parents. He lived in their basement, which was kind of like our little apartment. And his parents slept in their rooms upstairs. And I had met his parents, but I hadn't really sat down and had a conversation with them. And when I first saw him going into a seizure, I actually had to go up to his parents' bedroom and like tell them what was going on, and that was kind of like just a very scary and strange night. But so we dated for until I was late 19s, about to be 20, and he was a huge pagan leader in central New Jersey. Everybody knew his name. He was the leader of a pagan and religious organization, a religious tolerance organization, the Beyond the Summit. He ran pagan pride days. He was a huge voice in the pagan community. He did a lot of talks at colleges. I was at his side. I was attached to his hip. There was like not a minute where he was alone and I was alone. We were always together. He was the only guy up until then, and I have to say honestly since, that I was 100% in love with, and I would have done absolutely anything for him. And whenever we had even just a fight, I would break down because I was just so scared that he was going to leave, and he didn't though. I'm not going to paint a portrait of him being perfection, because even though he was perfection to me, he was, you know, he had his faults. But anyway, so we were going to be going away starting on Beltane, May Day, which is May 1st. We were going to be going on a 4-day camping trip for Beltane, for central New Jersey, and I think it was all of New Jersey. It was a 4-day camping trip, and this was the first time. It was like 3 hours away from my house, so I was really nervous and really anxious and everything. But me and him, the night before, his parents had gone on vacation for the first time without him. Usually they took him with them on their vacations because of his epilepsy, but this time they didn't. So it was just me and him. We spent, you know, the week together, and we were, you know, planning everything we were going to do. And the the last day of April, we went to Walmart at night to pick up last minute things we were going to need for the camping trip. And the whole time we went to, you know, to Wendy's and everything like that, and we were talking about what we wanted to do, what had to be done, what still needed to be done, what time things were happening, when we were going to get there, you know, stuff like that. So he dropped me off at my house because he had to go to work that next morning, and usually I didn't spend the night when he had work. I did a few times, but not often. I had to still pack a lot for this trip. So he dropped me off around 11:30 at night, and well, on the last day of April. And the last thing I said to him was, I'll see you tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that, and you'll be sick of me by tomorrow. And we said we loved each other, and closed the door. I get in my house, start packing all my stuff. I wasn't able to sleep all night because I was packing and scared and having anxiety, and just something didn't feel right, and I just couldn't sleep. So I finally fell asleep at like 6:30 in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, something like that. And he had told me that he was going to leave work early at about 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon, and that he would call me as soon as he was getting out because he was going to come pick me up then. So I had went to sleep, and I'm sometimes a really heavy sleeper. So I had slept all the way till 4:30 in the afternoon. And I looked up my phone, and the first thing I was like cursing at myself because I was like, oh my god, you know, crap, I missed his call, and I messed up everything. But I looked up at my cell phone, and there was no messages and no phone calls or voicemails from Cory. So I had called him over and over and over again. Sorry, my laptop went to screensaver. Okay. I called him over and over again, left him countless voicemails, was texting, where are you, what's going on, are you okay, why aren't you answering, blah blah blah. And I wasn't getting any responses. So I called a mutual friend at the time who was also going to be, well, she was already at the campsite, and I called her and have you guys heard from Cory, because I haven't heard from him, and he was supposed to pick me up a couple hours ago and I can't get a hold of him. And they said, no, nobody's heard from him, we've tried to contact him. And that's when I got really suspicious and really worried, because Cory is not the type of person who would just not tell anybody anything about what was going on. If he had a situation that was holding him up, he would have told you. He would have called you or texted you or something. He was very professional, and he would have contacted somebody. So I convinced my mom to drive me over to his house to see if everything was okay. And my sister came along with us because she had actually a DVD to bring back to Blockbuster. Ooh, we're back in the day. This was May 1st, 2008. So on the way there, I'm shaking from head to toe. I'm thinking the absolute worst. I know something is extremely wrong. And I was praying that it was just me being a little bit paranoid. And so we get to his house, and I notice his truck is still in the driveway, and it still had all the things that we had picked up from Walmart and Sam's Club and everything, that nothing had been moved, nothing had been touched at all since he had parked the car last night. So me and my mom go up to his front door, which is, there's glass. It was pretty much a whole glass door. And we were knocking on the door, and I noticed, because you can see the kitchen through the door, that both of his family's puppies, the dogs, but they were young dogs and very small, my little puppies, they were still locked in the kitchen with the gate up, which was something that the family only did when they went to sleep. They only locked them in the kitchen when they went to sleep. So I'm thinking to myself, why is the truck just it's the same way he parked it when he got home, and why are the puppies, they were barking like crazy and they were howling like crazy, and you know, I saw that they had been going to the bathroom on the floor, and I was like, why isn't... So my mom starts banging louder, and she, you know, is the one who starts saying, Cory, are you there? It's me and Kaylee, you know, it's us, you know, if you're hurt and you fell or something and you can't talk, bang on a wall or bang on something so we can hear you. And I started yelling for him, and I was like, I need to get into this house. I need to get into this house because I know something's wrong. I know, I knew what the situation was. I was just kind of, I guess, hopeful. But, sorry. So I remembered the passcode to get in through to the garage, and the garage had a door to go right into the hallway, and right here was the door to, or not door, but the doorway to, oh wait, yeah, there was a door there, but it was open, to get downstairs to the basement where he slept. I told my mom to look at the puppies for a second. I'm gonna go down. So I walked down the stairs, and as I'm walking very, very slowly, I'm saying, Cory, it's Kaylee. Don't be afraid. It's me. If you can hear me, just make a noise, something so I know that you're okay. At this part, I start hyperventilating and shaking still, and I turn the light on. I'm walking down the stairs. I look over just a little bit. I didn't see anything. And so I walked down fully, and I looked at the bed. The bed we shared. Bed that he kept a stuffed animal that I won him on with him. He slept with it every night. And I saw he was a big guy, and I saw his body hanging off the side of the bed with a little bit of blood. And he was already past rigor mortis. He was very swollen and very purple. And I screamed to the top of my lungs for my mom to come downstairs, which she was already on her way down. I was just screaming, "He's dead. Mommy, he's dead. Oh my God, he's dead." And she went downstairs, told me to go upstairs, and I did. I ran out of the house because I even broke one of my mother's necklaces because I was just going absolutely insane. And I called the police. I told them the address and what had been, that my fiance was dead and somebody needed to come down. They asked if I knew what happened, and I said, I don't know exactly. I know he has epilepsy, and I think he had a seizure in his sleep, and yeah, he died. I also called a, once again, mutual friend that was supposed to be his brother, because Cory was an only child, and they thought of each other as brothers. So he, of course, was the first one I called after that to tell him what was going on and to tell him to come over. And he pretended, you know, to hold me and say everything's okay and whatnot, but as soon as, you know, the service was over and everything, all of his friends just, he would be ashamed of you. They just kind of left me as soon as he died, because I was just kind of, I was just the girl they were nice to because he was engaged to me. So they didn't give a crap about me. They went on with their lives. But anyway, shut up, phone. So yeah, so this friend showed up. I also started calling my aunt. I don't know why. I was kind of in a mental stupor, and I just was flipping out, and I had told her what had happened. She said she was coming right over. And she came over with my little cousin for support, you know. And, you know, he loved them, and they loved him. I mean, everybody in my family, my grandmother, everybody loved him. And he knew it. He had a huge ego. Rightfully so. But, the ambulance had shown up, and cops had shown up, and they actually put me in the ambulance because I wasn't breathing right, and I was hyperventilating, and I was getting dizzy, and I was panicking, you know. So they put me in the ambulance and put oxygen on me, and the guy in the ambulance was kind of just like trying to like talk to me and just kind of just say, you know, oh, where'd you go to school, how old are you, you know, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And I said, please, I can't answer this kind of stuff right now. I can't. My sister was outside with my aunt, my cousin, and then I heard my dad's voice, and I heard him say, I need to see my daughter now. So the police brought him into the ambulance where I was, and I just looked at him, and he said, come outside, we'll walk around for a second. And I don't really remember what he said, but we just kind of walked up and down the street. I didn't go back into the house, and I should have, and I regret that fact every day. I should have stayed with him, but my mom came out and into the ambulance because I had gone back in with my sister, and my dad came in as well, and a police officer was at the door. And my mom had stayed with Cory, and she had stayed on the phone with the police while they gave her instruction, and my mom has tons of medical experience, so she knew, what to do. But the police officer came in, and I said, "Can you please tell me what's going on?" I said, is he okay? Could you have revived him? Is he alright? Is he alive? And I can just remember the look on my mom's face, and she just looked at me and just kind of looked down and held my hand really, really tight. And the police officer said, "I'm very sorry, sweetie, but we couldn't. He's been dead very, very, very long time." I said, I'm a huge fan of House and, doctor shows, medical shows and stuff like that. I said, they revive people all the time when they've been dead for, a while, and they revive people, it happens. And they said that it was impossible because he had been dead for at least 12 to 13 hours. So revival was not possible. The police then handed me the phone with his parents on the phone. And they were in the tropics on their vacation. And I got on the phone with his father, Don, and he said, "Kaylee, what is going on? Why are there police at the house? Why are they saying that he's dead? What is going on? What happened?" And I said, "He's dead. I came because I hadn't heard from him all day. I came into the house and he was dead." And I was crying, and I was trying to keep my composure because, I was on the phone with his parents, my future mother and father-in-law. And I can just, every day, I can still hear his mother screaming in the background on the phone. "He's not dead. Nothing's wrong. He's not dead. Everybody needs to shut up and calm down and stop doing this to me because he's not dead." Typical reaction of something like that. They got on the next plane out, and we were there the next day, I think. So he had a service because even though his family was Jewish, he was cremated because it was his wish. You gotta respect his wish, even though Jews don't normally, it's against Jewish law to get cremated, but technically he was pagan. So he wanted to be cremated, and at the service, and I stayed with him and his mom, I stayed with his mom pretty much, and dad, the entire time, besides holding my mother's hand. And my grandmother came, and my aunt came, and my other cousin came. My whole family pretty much came, and were crying. And so at the service, I didn't know if they were going to let anybody talk that wasn't his parents. But they said if anybody would like to give a eulogy, now's the time to come up. And I knew that even though I had stage fright, and even though this was a very most serious thing that ever has happened, and most traumatic thing that has ever happened in my entire life, which was traumatic to begin with, I was like, I have to get up there. He would want me to go up there and say something. So I did go up there to give a eulogy. I had my mom next to me because she's my rock. You know, she's my world. And I don't remember much of what I had said, other than I looked at Bonnie and Don, who was his mother and father, and I said he loved you so much, and he really, really did. He took really good care of them. And yeah, so that happened. I'm going into a little bit more detail than I wanted to, but making this almost 27-minute video a little bit shorter. My life has been ruined because of what had happened. And I was still in very good contact with both of his parents, especially his mother, for 5 months and 2 days after he died. Because 5 months and 2 days after he died, his mother killed herself. So I went over to the house that night to be with Dawn. And I'm very lucky because they kind of didn't want any of memories of Cory in the house. Not even like pictures. So I inherited a lot of his stuff. I have a lot of his stuff. His most important one, which I am glad I got to get, here we go, was his talisman that he wore during rituals. This was his most prized possession. This is something my father, since my father is a jeweler, he made for him. It says Kaylee and Cory, and it has the date we got together on it, and it has his initials, CH, Cory Hyman, on it. So I got to keep a lot of possessions, including the dog, the stuffed animal dog that he was in the bed with when he died. So I keep him close. A lot of fake I'm sorries, and I'm always going to be here for you after the service, and yada yada yada. Yeah, okay. 98% of those people I don't even talk to anymore, not by choice, but by their choice. For the next year, I spoke to Don on and off, his father on and off. Then, about a year later, I'm on Facebook, and this was something I only had done once, months back, and I was just like, you know what? I want to look up and see if Don had finally made a Facebook, because I really want him, I want to talk to him more. So I looked him up, and he hadn't made a Facebook. I was just like, I'm just thinking about Don a lot today. Then I got a phone call. And it was the person who called me when I knew that this news was going to be bad news. That Don had died in the same hotel room that him and his wife were in when his son died. They never really gave out a full disclosure on his death. And I won't go into anything about that because there's no really whatever. Cory's cause of death on his death certificate was that he had a grand mal seizure, and it was too strong, and it stopped his heart, and most likely had a brain aneurysm from it. So, my life has not been the same. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him, that I don't talk to him. I would do absolutely anything to have him back, but I can't. So, that's who Cory was. I mean, that's the situation that happened, that people are constantly asking me about. Well, why did your fiance leave you? Oh, he's a dick. I'm like, I gotta tell them it wasn't his choice. You know, he died, and then they want to know the story. So this was the story, most of it. Like I said, I'm going to leave a few details out due to respect and due to it's not anybody's real business. But did the best I could, and I didn't cry. I just hope that it's been 6.5 years, maybe a little, 6.5 years. And I hope that maybe in 6.5 more, it'll be a little easier. Because it's not easy. Still, it's not easy. And they say time heals all wounds. And maybe my time just takes a little longer. I don't know. So, I'm going to ask for you, my Blazers, to please do not ask me any questions on my comments. You can leave a comment if you want, as long as it's not nasty, or I'm going to have to report that. But please do not ask any questions, because this is all you're getting. So yeah, it is 7:23 in the morning, and I look like shit. But anyway, so that's the situation in the story. The story of Cory. I mean, there's a lot more to the story of Cory before he died. Oh my god. He was the best. He really was. And he was the only guy I was ever really truly in love with, and I would have run in front of a moving bus for him. I was absolutely head over heels in love with him. And we were going to get married, and we talked about the kids we were going to have and what we were going to name them. And I told him to take his condition more seriously, but being a guy, of course, he just kind of brushed it off and didn't want to think about it. So, thank you for watching. This is a lot longer than I wanted it to be. My mouth is hurting because I just had surgery last week. And I'm talking a lot, and I really shouldn't be. So, until next time, love each other, cherish the time you have together, stay wicked.